All righty, you went through perfectly. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye. Do, do, do. Welcome, everyone, as you're starting to join. Oh, hi. Some familiar faces already. Good to see you. Hi, Bonnie. You just in a class with me a few minutes ago. Hello again. So this is the one of the more. Hi, Natalie. How are you? Good to see you again. Lynn, I see a couple of familiar faces. Shirley, hi. Great, great. Okay, so hopefully you are here for Zoom virtual backgrounds for beginners, right? And that's because you got a wonderful instruction book on how to use Zoom when you signed up for Zoom, didn't you? Yeah, there is no instruction book on it. So, but we're going to try and help you do one or two things in Zoom, and this virtual background feature seems really popular. So, I'm going to show you a few things. I'll walk through a few explanations about how virtual backgrounds work and what they do. And we'll take some questions. We've got chat open, and I have Nancy from Get Set Up is here in support. So if you need any help with in chat, feel free to put something in chat. She'll be helping monitor for me because we have a really big class today. The class limit is 60, and there were 60 people, 58 people signed up already. So it's a popular topic. And so hopefully you'll learn whether your technology can support virtual backgrounds, because that's an issue, and whether or not you're um, are able to do it. And we'll show you and walk them through some steps on both a desktop and on an iPad, which is pretty similar to most other mobile devices as well. So, wow, we got a big group today, don't we? Fantastic. Love seeing everybody on Get Set Up. I'm going to go through a few introductory slides, so that you know a little bit about me and why in the world I'm a guide on Get Set Up. This is about Zoom virtual backgrounds for beginners, and it's meant to help bring you into the world of understanding a little bit about virtual backgrounds and learning a little bit about them. So you know who I am. I'm Bob Cohen. I'm in Seal Beach, California. I was born in Chicago, and my dad was an elementary school teacher and then a principal. And every summer we would take Route 66 out to California to visit my grandmother. She lived out here in Los Angeles. And I said, boy, when I want to go to California when I grow up, right? And so when I had a chance to go to college, I came out here, went to college, met my wife while I was in college, and I went back to Chicago after I graduated, and I lasted one winter. I am a cold weather sissy, I got to admit. But then I came back out. We both moved out here. I worked in the tech industry, got jobs with technology companies, and then eventually later on in life, I started my own internet service. And then about 2007, I started doing part-time training at adult education venues, and then actually did it full-time and kind of semi-retired. And then I came to Get Set Up in January, and I teach mostly technology classes here. And technology is kind of a hobby for me. I know it's not a hobby for everybody, but I like playing around with it and trying things out and doing different things on it. So as you know, with Get Set Up, we like to hear from people. We have a big group, so it'll be a little challenging today, but we'll do our best to try and make sure we get all the questions people might have and point out some other resources that might be available to you from Get Set Up. There's a lot of classes on how to use Zoom for beginners, how to use Zoom on iPads, how to use Zoom on Android, things like that. And if you're want a recording of the class afterwards, you can request a recording by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. Okay. And if you're joining by live stream, welcome. And feel free to go to the getsetup.io website and join us and register for a class. Then you can join us like all the people that are in our Zoom window here are participating as well. So I've got so many people in the meeting, I actually have to fit you on two screens. So I'm going to scroll back and forth periodically to ask questions and check from things here. Okay. All right. So let me go through one more slide. Objectives. Here's our agenda today. We're working with technology. So we have to find out if our technology will really support using this feature called virtual backgrounds. What I have behind me is a virtual background. My computer and my camera and the Zoom software are all working together to make this magic happen. Is that instead of seeing my real background, you are seeing a photo and behind me instead of what's really behind me. And the camera and the computer and Zoom are all figuring out what's Bob shape, right? And what's behind Bob. And let's get rid of what's behind Bob and replace it with a photo. And that's what virtual backgrounds does. So I'm going to show you the settings for how to change and add them in desktop. I'm going to show you slides because I was able to take some screen captures of where things happen. And then we're going to actually try it out live. It's always dangerous to use technology live because sometimes things change. I see some of you have virtual backgrounds already. So congratulations on trying them out. And I'm going to show you a few websites where you can get legal free photos to use for background photos on your Zoom background, right? So before I get started, I know there's a lot of questions that people might have, and I'm going to cover probably everything as I go through the material. But if you have anything that you're wondering about virtual backgrounds, let's see, you can raise your hand or you can put something in chat. And I'll take a moment here to try and answer. Mary Lou, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead and unmute yourself. And thank you for muting yourself, by the way. It really helps keep noise down. Go ahead, Mary Lou. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Mary Lou, if you had a question. No, okay. All right. Just waving. Okay. All right. I get confused. It's hard for me to see everybody at the same time. I'm looking at the screen. So I apologize if I think you're asking a question. I just like to take all the questions I can during a class, because that's one of the benefits of Get Set Up, is that you do have a live instructor as opposed to watching a recording on something. Okay. If you're on your Zoom desktop, at the bottom of your desktop where you have the microphone and the little video symbol, if you scroll over to the right of that with your mouse, you should see a button called Reactions. And that Reactions button gives you the ability to raise a hand, literally virtually. And so I can see you if you've got a raised hand as well with that. Okay. All right, so let's go through some slides here. Okay. Zoom virtual background requirements. Okay, so I'm going to change my sharing from a slide to a website. I didn't make this up. This is what Zoom says you got to do. So let me change this to my web browser here and make sure I get it set up the right way. So let's change that to, here we go. There we go. So you should see something on your screen that says Zoom Help Center. This is Zoom's virtual system requirements for virtual backgrounds. I'm going to make that a little wider, put the type in bigger so it's easier to read. Okay, so not all hardware, computers, smartphones, tablets, not all hardware will support the functioning of virtual backgrounds. So this article, and you're going to get a link to this in the email. I'll even include it in chat here for you as well, and send that to you in chat. This tells you what you can do in virtual backgrounds. So it tells you for Windows. I'm going to make my mouse a little bigger here, and then I'm going to draw some check things. It tells you in Windows, it tells you in Mac OS, Apple, Linux, iOS, and Android. Now, there's one computer type that you don't see there, and it's Chromebooks. So I am really sorry for anyone that has a Chromebook, but Chromebooks do not support virtual backgrounds. It's impossible to make it work. So no matter what you do with your Chromebook, Zoom's functionality is not going to support virtual backgrounds no matter what you do. So that, unfortunately, that's a drawback to Chromebooks, but they're less expensive computers. And so you typically find that there are some requirements for the size of the power of the computer you're using, and certain models of Android phones don't support. Now, it's a little bit easier to find out if they do or they don't. Let's take a look at Windows. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to show you some pictures of a green screen, but this is important to understand. Most of the time, we are going to be using the virtual background as an image only without a physical green screen. Okay. And when they say physical green screen, they mean it has to be a real physical green screen. It's not something that's made up on the computer. And I'm going to show you some pictures of green screens in a few minutes. Okay. So when we look at Windows image only without a physical green screen, it says I need a Windows 7, 8, or 10. Most people have that. I have to have the latest Zoom desktop client. That's the actual application that runs on your computer, the little Zoom application. So if you can check at zoom.us's website to make sure you have the latest version, but then it tells you what the supported processors are. You need an Intel i3 with 2 cores, the 5th generation. Now this is about a 5-year-old computer. Okay. And so I have a daughter-in-law that has a 8-year-old computer, and her computer doesn't support virtual backgrounds. But I have a 4-year-old computer myself, and it supports virtual backgrounds just fine. But I have a pretty fast processor. So the speed and the of your CPU, your processor, makes a difference in whether it will work with a virtual background. That's the main thing about this information. I'm going to scroll down to phones.
Bob,
Yeah.
how can you find out that information? Is there
You
something
look
you
up on the bottom or the back of your computer, you should have a model number. And I would just do a Google, look up the manufacturer's website for that model number to get that information about it. It will tell you
now?
what they put
Now
in.
I have a little sticker, those stickers that says Intel inside Core 13. Is that it?
It's a Core i3. It's Core i3.
Oh, i3. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and so
Uh-huh.
it may be fast enough. It just depends on how old a processor it is. When they say 5th generation, that was done about, they're in 10th generation now, so that means it's 5 years old. It has to be at least that fast. And there are actually ways in Zoom to tell you whether or not it's fast enough as well. But generally, you would look up the model number of your computer on the website. If it's an HP or a Dell or a Lenovo, you could just do a Google search
Mhm.
for your computer, and it'll tell you what processor it has in it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have a quick question.
I'm sorry?
I have a quick question. All right, when you said the computers may be old and won't support Zoom background, but you can still just get Zoom and it sees your face.
You can use Zoom. It's just
Okay.
to show you what's really behind you. Right.
Okay. All right.
It's not going to
Like my
support
door. I got it.
right.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Most iPhones will work. iPhone 8s and 8 pluses or newer, iPad Pros, and most iPads made within about the past 4 years will work. But if you have an older iPad, it might not work. Now, Zoom will work, as Gloria asked. Zoom will work. It's just the virtual background won't work. Okay. Velva, you have a question. Go ahead.
Would you please go back to the Mac? You skipped over Mac.
Okay. Macs are a little bit easier to manage. So Macs will tell you you have to have the latest Mac version and the latest Zoom version, but Apple's M1 is their brand new one they introduced in November. An i5, 2 cores or higher, 6th generation. That's about a 5-year-old Mac. But sometimes MacBook Airs used a little bit slower processor. An i7, 4 cores, 4th generation. That's about a 6-year-old, 7-year-old Mac. Okay. And you can go to there's way you can look up your model number or even call Apple, and they'll help you figure out what you have. Okay. So Macs usually are a little bit easier, but this is just, I want you to be aware that it's not me that's doing this to you, it's the hardware. Okay. So, and the reason is that video makes a lot of processing demands. It's like taking a car filled with, 6 people and driving up a really steep hill. you're making your engine work really hard, okay? When you're doing video on a computer, you're making your computer work harder. And if you have a fast enough engine, your processor, it'll work just fine, but it might not. And I don't want anybody be disappointed. It's not me that made this up. This is just part of the technology, okay? Now, Android's kind of tricky, okay? Because Android, you have to have a fairly recent, processor, and Android models, different made by different people. But you notice only the following phone manufacturers are supported: Google, OnePlus, Oppo, Redmi, Samsung, Vivo, Xiaomi, Huawei, but no LG. Okay, so certain brands of Android phones will just not work with virtual backgrounds.
Excuse me. T-Mobile phone?
T-Mobile is, I'm going to mute you because you have two devices with audio on and we're getting some feedback. But T-Mobile doesn't, they may have their brand name on the phone, but they don't actually make the physical phone itself. Okay, so you can check with T-Mobile and say, what model of phone do I have, and what processor do I have in it? Okay. So that when you find a phone that T-Mobile is a service, they don't actually make the hardware. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to leave this screen and stop sharing this and go back to a slide or two, okay? That's probably one of the more technical slides in any of my presentations, and it's just a matter of just understanding that this is technology that we can't always work with. Let me make sure. Okay, so I'm on the right slide. These are some pictures of green screens I took off of a Google search. These are what they talk about a green screen. This is what they mean in a green screen. It's a physical piece of green fabric. And the reason for it is that for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, video cameras can really make out the color green well. They really recognize green. And so by having a bright green fabric background placed physically behind you, like this woman is sitting here, she has a physical green screen behind her, the camera is able to separate that solid color from whatever is in the background. I don't know if you ever watched a show called Whose Line Is It Anyway? But if they do sometimes things with a green screen, where Colin Mockery usually is having to describe as a newscaster what's going on behind him, but he can't really see it. And you've seen maybe pictures in news studios where they have a studio and they don't have actually anything behind the person except a green piece of fabric all lit up. That's the green screen. It's just because cameras seem to be able to make out that color better. And so when you have a physical green screen, this is what they mean. So sometimes if your computers, one of the students in one of the other classes, she wasn't able to get the virtual background feature to work very well. It kind of was fuzzy and stuff on her. So she bought a $20 green screen, hung it up behind her, and it solved her problem. And she just checked the box on the Zoom setting, which I'm going to show you, where it says to check off virtual green screen. So I want to make sure you understand what a green screen is. Everybody have a good idea? And you can paint a wall if you want to, just use really bright green paint. Don't use a dull green. The brighter the green, the better.
I have a tablecloth.
There you go.
Table.
There you go. That anything that's bright green will work. If you want to get fancy, you can spend money on the ones that have support frames and stuff like that, but you don't have to. Okay. I don't know if you know it or not, but you can start a Zoom meeting anytime, okay, from the Zoom app on your computer or your phone or your tablet. If you launch the app, and you sign into your Zoom account, one of the buttons you get is a new meeting button. And that's one of the easiest ways to get to the settings to get to virtual backgrounds. Obviously, we're in a meeting now, and so the setting options will be available, but you can do it even if you're not in a meeting with somebody. Just start your Zoom app and start a new meeting, and then you'll be able to see the settings that are available to you for virtual background. You're the only one in the meeting, so it's okay. Okay. So Iris asks, does green screen, there's a little, the better, it doesn't have to be a certain distance from the computer. It's more a matter of if it covers everything the camera sees, okay, more than anything else. There's actually a class that Chris Seidman is doing on Get Set Up called How to Look Like a Rock Star on Zoom. And there's no hope for me. You know, I'm going to look the way I'm going to look no matter what. But Chris will help you out in terms of lighting and green screen information and light and other things like that that'll help you.
Excuse me. Excuse me, this is Bonnie.
Yeah, Bonnie.
So I have an iPhone 11, so I went on Zoom and I clicked start a meeting, and now my picture's there. What do you do after that?
On the iPhone, I'm going to show you some settings in the iPhone. If you have to be if you're logged in to your iPhone, you should be able to start a meeting. If you see the meeting controls, you should be able to see them. I'm going to show you a few slides on your iPhone. Okay.
Okay.
But I know how I get to it. It may not be exactly how everyone else gets to it. Okay.
You do have to have a Zoom account in order to do this, correct?
You do have to have a Zoom account to use
Okay.
virtual backgrounds. Yeah.
You need an account or an app?
If you download the app, you should it should have asked you to set up the account, but you do need the Zoom app on your phone or your desktop. You do need the app.
I have that,
Okay.
but
All
I
right.
don't know if I have an account.
Well, it may or may not be necessary. I'm trying to remember if it's necessary to have an account. I believe it is, but I can't recall. So when you launch Zoom and you if you join a meeting, you can join a meeting, and you can actually join this meeting from your email via your phone too, and join from 2 devices too. But if you're in a Zoom meeting right now on your phone, it's going to be difficult to actually, there's going to be a little bit different way to navigate through this that I'll show you.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm Sylvia, but they assigned me mom, and I don't know how to change that yet. But I have 2 questions. When I click on chat, is that how I raise my hands? I don't want to interrupt.
Well, if you're on a desktop, you can if you click on chat, you can it opens up the chat window where you can type a question.
Type a question. Okay.
Yeah.
How do I'm sorry. How do I raise my hand so that you can, you can see me raising my hand to ask a question?
If you're on a desktop,
Yes.
and go over to where it says reactions.
Oh, reactions. I thought that was just to comment. Okay.
No, and it should, if you have the latest version of Zoom, it should give you the ability to raise your hand.
I have a thumbs up. Is that?
You might need to update your version of Zoom if all you have is a thumbs up, but there is a raise hand option that Zoom now has available.
I have an iMac and I'm not very good at it. My other question is the pictures we're seeing on the screen. Will that be also in the class notes?
There will be a recording available. So if you can request a recording at help@getsetup.io for the recording.
No pictures of what we're seeing right now.
No pictures in the notes, right.
Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
Are you saying that in order to get these pretty backgrounds, we definitely have to have a green screen that we have to?
No, it just, sometimes it's depending on the speed of your computer, you may need a green screen, but if your computer's fast enough, you do not. I do not have a green screen myself. And so I'm doing it without a green screen. We're using virtual backgrounds without a green screen.
Okay, thank you.
Now I'm going to show you on the desktop how it works, and then I'm going to walk you through to do this as well. So on the desktop, when you open the Zoom app, you can open up the settings gear and select background and filters. And the other way to get to this is by using in the Zoom meeting, next to the video icon is a little arrow. And if you click on the up arrow, it'll say choose virtual background. That when you click on that, it'll bring up this screen. When you see the virtual background, it may say none. It may have some images already there, or it may not. It depends on the speed of your computer. But you can always click on plus and then click on add image and select an image on your computer. The thing is, you need a photo on your computer of some sort. And I'm going to show you some places where you can download photos for free on the internet. Okay, so that's one way to do it. We're going to walk through this a couple of times. Okay. Now then you can change your background. It appears right in this little window while you're doing it. Okay. Now on mobile, it works a little bit differently. While you're in a meeting on a mobile device, if you're on a phone or an Android, you would click on this little button called More. It has 3 dots. If your device supports virtual backgrounds, you'll see an option for virtual background. In iPads, if you click on, sorry about that. If you look in the upper right, you'll see a More button. If you tap on that, it'll bring up a menu for virtual backgrounds. Now on phones and tablets, Zoom, you have to there'll be a message if you first do this for the first time. It will pop up and it will say, Zoom needs permission to access your photos. So you have to give Zoom permission to access your photos on your phone or your tablet in order to use virtual backgrounds on a phone or a tablet, because Zoom's going to look at the photos you have in your photo library or your photo app and then pull it. On your desktop, it looks at you choose what file you want to use for your virtual background.
Okay. All right, that's what I was wondering. If you gave them permission, they would scan everything that you have in your phone. But if you put
That's
certain
fine.
ones on your computer, that's what they get.
Right. If you just to use it on your computer to virtual backgrounds, you basically it'll take you to a menu where you choose the file you want to use for your virtual background.
Okay.
On your, excuse me, on your mobile device, if it's a phone or a tablet, Zoom will have access to your photos because it needs to be able to get to your photos to use them for virtual background, because that's where it gets them from.
Okay. All right.
Franz, you got your hand up. You got a question?
Yeah, I got a question. I'm using right now my backup PC. It's got a 3rd generation i5 in there, and I cannot access my picture files. When I try to click on them, it'll say no files available. Is that the hardware? Is that a hardware issue?
Well, it just could be a matter of where you've got your pictures located on your device. Okay.
Okay, because I've got my main computer is an i7 7th generation. I haven't tried it on that one yet.
Yeah.
Try that next.
As long as it's just a matter of where your photos are. I mean, that's kind of like remembering where you put something.
Oh, good God, that's a task right there.
So I generally recommend, if you're going to use a photo for a virtual background, to start with, you put it on your desktop. I'm going to show you my whole screen, and you'll see how it downloads, and I drag it over from my download file to my desktop. It just makes it easier to find.
it's a hardware issue then, because it won't find it on the desktop either.
Yeah, yeah. So just it's something to do with the hardware then, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so let's take a look, okay? You ready to give it a try and see what we can do? Okay, I'm going to share my entire screen, okay, which is going to look a little bit unusual to you, but I have a copy of it up so that I can see what I'm doing while I am sharing it with you at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to make my Zoom window a little bit bigger here for you so you can see it. And I'm going to share my whole screen, my whole desktop, so you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so I have my whole desktop. This is what you all look like to me when I'm looking at the gallery on my desktop. So on my Zoom window here, I'm going to, at the lower left-hand corner, there's that video camera. You can see where my arrow pointed to. There's a little arrow next to the video camera itself. Okay.
It's not in mine.
Okay, I'm going to mute everyone because I've got a little bit of noise here coming in. Okay, so if you don't have a question, it's generally a little bit easier to mute, so that we don't interfere with noise, things like that. Because microphones on these devices pick up a lot of noise. So here's that video camera. I want to click on the arrow. When I click on the arrow, it brings up a menu, and the menu says choose virtual background. That's what I want. Okay. It has other things there, but we're just talking about virtual backgrounds today. So when I click on choose virtual backgrounds, it pops up a window. Okay, it has me, it has the background and filters is already selected and has a different set of backgrounds that I previously used. Okay, if I've used a previous background, I can just select it by clicking on it, and it changes my background to the one I just click on. But if I wanted to add one, you may see none. If I wanted to add a virtual background, I go to this little tiny plus button here and I click the plus button. Then it says add image. Okay. Now, if I had a physical green screen, I would check the box that says I have a green screen, but I don't have a green screen, so I don't check it. It's only when you have a physical green screen, you check that box. Okay, so when I go to add image, it brings up my file folders on my computer. So if I go to, I saved a folder called backgrounds for class. And I'm going to just pick one here. I have no idea which one that is, but I'm going to try it out. It's a photo I downloaded from the internet, and I'm going to open it up, and voila, it changed my photo, my virtual background, to what I selected. It also puts it in my list of selections. Okay, so Iris, you've got a question.
Yes, so I've tried the virtual background, and again, it may be my computer might be too old, but what I get is my picture and the background kind of flutters together. It's like fluttering.
Yeah, you get a little bit of this effect. You don't see it too much on mine because I have a fast computer, and there's three things that make the difference. One is the lighting. Having a lot of light in front of you, facing you, is important. Having light behind you is bad for video. So having light in front of you, so if you have a window behind you, that's not so good. You want to have lighting facing you because you're a video star now. You're on camera, right? And so that's one thing. Most computers do not come with very good cameras. And so buying an accessory webcam can also improve it. So I'm giving you things you can do before you have to upgrade your computer. Try lighting, try an accessory webcam. And I recommend when you buy things, buy them from a place that lets you return them if they don't work. because you may plug in the webcam, it may work, it may not, and you may say, oh, forget it, I want to do something different. And so you might want to do that. And then the last thing is you might have to upgrade your computer. Okay, and that's the most
Excuse
expensive.
me. Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yeah, Henrietta, question.
Yes.
Yes, hi, how are you?
Yeah. Hi. Okay. Fine. Thank you. Just a minute. I used when you were speaking to us, you said if we click the video, we'll see an arrow at the end, and then we can click that place to get more information. But my video didn't reveal that little thing you were talking about.
Are you on, okay, a lot makes a difference. I've just showed you the desktop so far. Are you on a laptop?
I am on iPhone.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to show you a little bit differently I'll show you on an iPad how it works. It works very similar to an iPhone, okay?
I have a quick question.
It works very different. It works differently on a desktop. The people on iPhones don't have this type of control on their screen. They don't see this little bar at the bottom of their Zoom window. They see something different. They'll see 3 dots more, and we'll look at that in just a minute, okay?
Real quick, when we have the screen up here and then it says already highlighted background and filters, then in the center it had I don't have a green screen, or I do have a green screen. Well, I clicked I don't have a green screen, but I can't get back from anything else from that. What did I do?
If you clicked on I have a green screen, just uncheck it. That's all. Just click right on it and it'll uncheck it.
Okay.
Because if you don't, the only reason you should check it is if you have a physical green screen, like I showed you pictures of. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I checked the one that said I did not have one, and now I can't. It won't take
Well,
me anywhere.
there's usually not an option for it says I have. So if you click it, yeah, you'd want to make sure it isn't checked off, right?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
But this is where all your back. So you have to be able to find a photo. You can use your own photos. This is a photo I took from the hills outside of Los Angeles at night. You can use a photo, or you can find photos you might have in other places. Zoom gives you a few photos. This is a photo of a float in a rose parade. So you can do a lot of things. And when you want to delete them, it'll save as many as I think it lets you, but you can also see there's a tiny little X, and I can't make this window any bigger. I'm sorry, but if I want to delete it, I can delete it and it removes it, but it doesn't take up much space. Okay.
Mr. Cook, you still haven't shown me the you said you will show me something since I'm using iPhone.
Right, Henrietta. Let me get to that next. Okay.
All right then.
Okay. So I have to do a little bit of magic on my end to make this work, because I have to share some information from my iPad to you, and most of the time it works, but there are sometimes situations where it doesn't. So I'm going to try this out and see if I can make it work on my iPad. So hopefully we are now sharing my screen on my iPad. Now, iPhones and iPads work very similarly. Where the information is on display is going to be different. Now, obviously, if you're new to using an iPhone or an iPad and you haven't done this before, I'd recommend you take some of the iPhone and iPad classes on Get Set Up to become more familiar with how to use it. Okay. In the upper right-hand corner, I can't point to this right now, but in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see 3 dots. Okay, it says More, right? And if I tap on that More, it brings up a menu, okay, of options. On your phone, if you tap on your screen, you will see the microphone, the audio, the video, and the more button. And then one of the options is background and filters, if it works with background and filters. Okay, so I see background and filters on mine. It's raise hand, security,
Yes.
recording, chat,
I-
etc., etc., etc. So if I tap on background and filters, it
Yes.
up background and filters. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So what you do then is it basically asks you where you're going to get the picture from. Now I've put some virtual backgrounds here before. This is actually showing you my video on my iPad camera, and it'll show you your video on your iPhone. So if I want to add a photo, I would click on the plus button, and that gives me the ability to view my photos that I've taken with my phone.
Okay.
On my tablet. From if you haven't used this before, it will ask you, can I, give Zoom permission? So this is one I took at the beach yesterday. If I click on that and I tap done, it changes the photo to what I took a picture of at the beach.
A question.
Then I
Will,
click
will
next,
it work?
I'm
Will
done.
it work on our Galaxy Android S20 Plus? That's what I just got, and I'm not too familiar with it.
Okay. I mean, I'd recommend, you take one of the Get Set Up classes on Android. There are a lot of them that are available because, understanding a little bit about how to use your smartphone and take pictures and other things like that are valuable to learn. So it's a little bit easier to do. Sometimes the desktop is a little bit easier. Sometimes the mobile device, but yeah, mobile devices are like learning a whole, new way of using computing. And so becoming more familiar with it will help you learn how to do different things on it too.
Thank you.
Sure. Moore, did you have a question or you just?
Yes, your picture is very clear and very stable.
Actually me right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have a green screen, or is that because you have a fast computer?
I have a relatively fast computer. It's a 4-year-old MacBook Pro. Now, Macs and Windows, they both use Intel processors, so it's not a matter of one or the other. But it was a pretty high end one about 4 years ago when I bought it. But I have a good camera. I don't use my MacBook's camera. I use the camera that I bought from Amazon, but I mean, Costco sells them, other people sell them, and that helps. And I have good lighting.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't move around a lot. The more I move, like motion, it's not too bad, but it's the computer is pretty fast. And so that helps it.
Bob, my question is, and I'm on my laptop, when I select, I have a green screen, then those virtual backgrounds are available to me. When I deselect that, then it's like they're there, but I can't select them.
Right.
I'm not sure what that issue is.
That Zoom is starting to do a few things in the app to try and help people determine whether their computer is fast enough to use virtual backgrounds without a green screen. That's the most demanding computing you need, is when you use it without a green screen, it requires a faster computer. But your Zoom is telling you that if you used a green screen, you can use virtual backgrounds, but but your computer's not fast enough to do it without a green screen. So but it will let you do it with a green screen. That makes sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so it's a built-in tool that Zoom is trying to help you out with that says, hey, if you get a green screen, thumbs up on using virtual backgrounds, but without a green screen, we don't think your computer is fast enough. Okay, so how do you get the,
Question. I have an iMac. I think this is only about 5, oh, I'm sorry, probably 5, 6 years old. I can see you very clearly. Is this iMac good enough for Zoom?
it might be. I mean, I don't know the specific specifications. What I would do is just try turning on video, and you have to have your video on. You know, if I stop my video and click on the stop video button, it just shows my still picture. So you do have to have the video on to make virtual backgrounds work. So I would try it, and that's one of the ways you find out.
Thank you.
Let me get there's a question in chat here. How do I get the initial from Donna Marie? How do I, Donna Marie, what initial are you referring to?
Some of the people that are on chat right on the screen right now, rather than showing a background or a picture, it's just showing an initial.
Oh, like say Chloe Fowler, where it says CJ, for example, or
yes.
When you set up your Zoom account at zoom.us, you do have the ability to upload a profile image. Okay, so that's I don't know why some are showing like S. Ryan is just showing an S and Joyce is showing a J. It could be because of the way they set up their Zoom account. It will show just an initial or the word. That's what they use to create their Zoom account or something like that. I'm not an expert on that part of Zoom, but that's one reason why. So if I turn off my video, I have a profile photo and my name is with Zoom. I have my name in my zoom.us account. And so that's how it does it. So there might be something in the profile that lets you do the initial. I'm not sure. I haven't tried that before.
So everybody has to set up a profile, is what you're saying?
Well, everybody has a Zoom profile if they have a Zoom account, and your what appears when you don't have your video on is based on what you had set up at zoom.us.
But to use Zoom, you don't have to have an account, correct?
You have to.
Usually not, no, but they really make you, really encourage you to get one set up. So you have an account now because it says Donna Marie Grady, and that's for your Zoom login. When you start Zoom, it usually creates a Zoom account, but you can use Zoom as just a website too. But to use virtual backgrounds and other features, you're probably going to have an account.
Thank you.
Okay. Right now, where do you get pictures? Right? Some of you are already doing virtual backgrounds. That's really cool. I like that. I'm seeing some virtual backgrounds here, some interesting things. You know, is it worth upgrading your computer just to make virtual backgrounds work? I don't know. That's more of a personal question than anything else. What's in your budget? But if you want to get pictures, let me show you where you can get them from on the web. I'm going to show you some websites, and I'm going to share my whole screen because I'm going to show you what happens when you actually download them. Now I'm going to move all of our gallery over here a little bit so that you can see more of my screen here. Okay. So there are some you're going to get links to all of these websites in the follow-up email. There are websites that have what are called stock photos. They are photos that photographers take, both professional and amateur, and they upload them to the website, and they hope that you'll make a contribution or donation or eventually subscribe to a service that they're affiliated with, but you don't have to. There are a couple of sites out there, Pixabay, Pexels. You're going to get links to all of these. Adobe, and even Canva has free, they all have free stock photos available. These are legal to use. You have permission to use them, and you aren't violating anybody's copyright or trademark when you go to these sites and they say free. So there's 1.9 million photos. I think that's enough, right?
More than enough.
That's not enough, right? Okay. And here's a nice, some of these are, just different things you can get. There's some photos they feature. You can search for, say you wanted to search for flowers, okay? I could type in flowers, I can click on search, and it brings up flowers. Oh, some of these are nice. So this is a lotus lily pad. If I want to get this photo to use it as a virtual background, I click on it, and then it says free download. Okay, it's free to do. So you're going to see it download to my computer. Watch when I click on this, and I'm going to download just what they select. I don't have to change any options. And it says I have to download. Okay, thank you. And boom, it went real quickly. Boom. Okay. It's in my download folder. I'm going to drag it out of there and put it on my desktop just so it's easier to find. So all of these sites work very much the same way. And just if you don't find what you want on one, go to another one. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I'm going to bring over you guys, share my whole screen. And now I go to my video camera in the lower left. Okay, I'm going to click on the little up arrow. I'm going to go to choose virtual background, and I'm going to hit the plus button and add image. Now, I put this on my desktop so I could find it. Okay, so it's a lotus. I know that. So I'm going to click on this and then click open. And voila, there's my new background. Now, on an iPhone or an iPad, it will ask you to download the photo and put it in your photos library. There's a couple of good, in learning how to use your iPhone and your iPad for photos, it's a really good idea to take some of the classes that talk about organizing photos on your iPhone and iPad, because knowing how to get to those photos is one of the things you have to learn on your iPhone and iPad. Now, I will tell you that if you use a virtual background on your desktop or laptop, it will not appear when you use it on your iPhone or iPad or Android. They're all independent, which is okay, because what they do is they keep the virtual photos in the Zoom application. And so they keep it in the Zoom app on your phone, or the Zoom app in your iPad, or the Zoom app on your laptop, or the Zoom app on your desktop. So you might have to move the photo around to multiple places in order to use it. So I know we've covered a lot. We've covered where to get photos. We've covered how to use it on your desktop. We've covered how to make it work on your iPhone or iPad. And every device has got its own little quirks. And so you want to be sure to get familiar with using the device that you are most comfortable with all the time. And I usually donate to the photographers. I do amateur photography, and I donate $1, to help them out a little bit. It's not much, but it does help these people out a little bit that post photos for us. So, boy, wow, what a day. What a great class. And I'm seeing virtual background showing up with people already. That's fantastic. It's okay to repeat the class.
Yeah.
Okay to.
I will be repeating it quite a bit. Thank you.
Thank you. It's okay to learn more about your iPhone. Your iPhone and your iPad are very powerful computers by themselves. And so they do a lot of things. Using your own photos. Because when you're using a background, some colors may make it easier if your computer is kind of right on the edge of being capable of doing virtual backgrounds. Certain kinds of colors in the background may make it easier for your camera to separate you from what's really behind you. Okay. And you can do Zoom actually has virtual backgrounds that on a website too. So let me see if a lot of people trying things out, and so that's great. That's great. Good to see you trying some virtual backgrounds out, and especially if you can take your own photos. It's a lot of fun to use them and try some things out. Set a mood for the day. You know, give people a little bright. Have a birthday party or something like that. Okay. Okay. So let's wrap things up a little bit. Did you learn something today? Learn a little bit more about virtual backgrounds and using Zoom. Gosh, we have to use Zoom so much these days. It's crazy. You can request a recording at help@getsetup.io. You'll get notes that'll have links to all of the websites that I showed you and some help functions. Zoom actually has a really good help webpage on using virtual backgrounds and how to use it on different devices as well. Give us some feedback. Let us know. There is a more advanced class on creating custom virtual backgrounds where I show people how to use slide software to actually customize a background and put text on it and other things like that, or logos if you want to do that. Suggest a class, and thank you for joining us today. I'll be on for a few minutes for any questions you might have, but go and enjoy virtual backgrounds. Try them out, and bye. And good seeing familiar faces, and good seeing some virtual backgrounds showing up already. Okay, that's great. That's
Thanks
great.
so much. It was wonderful, but I
Thank
can't,
you.
I guess I need a green screen because my computer.
Yeah, sometimes if it says it works with a green screen and it shows the virtual backgrounds, then green screen, like say, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Like you said, somebody has a tablecloth, and that can work too. Just the brighter the green, the better. Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bob, quick question.
Yeah.
When I go to virtual, hold on. There's a button right below that says I have a green screen, and then it says mirror my video. Should that be checked? And what is that about?
Well, mirror video, I'll show you real quickly. If you have a video that has some text on it, and you want it to, the text is inverted for some reason, sometimes on a t-shirt or sometimes on a camera. But if I click mirror my video, it just flips the image in the background.
Oh, okay.
That's all mirror my video does. And you only check off if you have a green screen, if you have a physical piece of green fabric behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A question.
Yeah.
I went into chat and I posted a question, but apparently it didn't get to you. So I don't know what I do. What else do I have to do after I typed in the question?
Well, you have to hit the enter key or return key. I'm looking through chat here to see if I see the question. So if you type something in chat, are you on a tablet or a desktop?
I'm on iMac.
So when you just hit the return key after you type in the question.
Oh, hit the return.
Yeah.
On my
on your keyboard. Right.
Thank you.
Sure.
And the other thing is, I went into start video quickly, and I saw a background that must have been a virtual background. I don't think I put it there because I don't know enough to do that. So does that mean that my computer works?
Yeah, it means if it gives you the images to use as a virtual background, you don't know until you actually put it on the screen how it's going to look. So you have to turn your video on, for us to see you, and then you the virtual background, so we can get an idea of how it's going to. But you can do that. You can just, after this meeting, if you don't want to do it in the meeting, you can actually just leave the meeting and start up a Zoom meeting on your own and try it out.
Thank you. I didn't put the virtual background there. It just appeared when I clicked in on quickly.
Right. So yeah, if you have to have the video on in order to make it work.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Right. Well, thank you all for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Appreciate it. And have a good day for the rest of the day today, no matter where in the world you are. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you too. And you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.